Welcome to Business Success Tips, where you learn to make more money in less time and have a lot more fun. I'm your host, Paul Sanneman, and I'm founder of Contractor Staffing Source, where we help contractors build great teams. I have Peter Wilson of bizmarketing.com with me today, and I think he's going to apply to a lot of you guys because I think he works with a lot of guys. My guess is, Peter, under 10 million, that's a lot of your clients, right?
Yeah, we work with a lot of home service contractors. In that sub $10 million range. Yep.
Cool, perfect. So this will be good for them. So Peter, you said you're a big fan. I think you've written a book, right?
Actually, this is the book that I wish I had written.
I see. We all have one of those. So,
I'm kind of cheating here. I did not write this book. I will be the first to admit I did not write it. But when I read it, I said, this is the book I wish I had written about marketing because
absolutely. Okay. So let's talk about that. So the name of the book is, just bring it up in front of everybody.
Yeah, it's written by a guy named Allan Dib, written in 2018. It's called the One-Page Marketing Plan.
Like my speed. So Peter, you want to dive into what the one-page marketing plan is and how it might apply to the people listening to this podcast?
Yeah. First, let's talk about a problem that I've noticed working with a lot of companies. I've been in the marketing field since 1994. I started a company to make websites for car dealers. So good timing, right? 94, nobody's on the web. 10 months later, we sold that company for a lot of money to a big software company. So just to give you a little perspective, I've been doing this web stuff for a long time. And I'll never forget, we made a website for one of the car dealers and I loaded it on my laptop, which was like the first color laptop I had. And I took it up to his office and his name's Jack Carroll. And I said, Jack, here's your new website. What do you think? And he looks at it and I thought he was just going to be blown away, because it's got his name on picture on it and all that stuff. He looks at it, he goes, yeah, that's kind of cool. Has it sold any cars yet?
Right.
So it was like,
Peter, you and I come from the same back. I'm so old. When I started, contractors did not have cell phones; they had pagers.
There you go. Yeah.
So I drug them through cell phones, which they said were going to disturb the peace of mind in the truck. Why do I need a cell phone? And then I went from there to email, which was just a fad. And then from email, we did websites. Why do I do a website? Answer the phone and do a good job. That's all we need to do. And then I went from that to project management software like, Build-A-Trend and JobTrend and that kind of stuff. And so now it's still been a push. And now my latest one is AI. And I swear to God, half the contractors I talk to say, and what is ChatGPT? Okay, so it's interesting. So I think contractors are a little bit, when it comes to Luddites, when it comes to technology, right? So I like the fact that you have like this handwritten one. That's exciting to me.
Yeah. And I've always been kind of an analog, handwritten. So, to put this in the context of, businesses and especially contractors, marketing is one of those things that sort of this could be thought of as kind of this existential, it's just so much going on, like you say, pagers and then email and then websites and then AI and blah, blah, blah. There's just so many steps to think about. And what Allan Dib did, he's not a marketing professor. He was a business owner from Australia that hired a company to make a marketing plan for him. They gave him a 100-page marketing plan and he got it. He opens it up. He paid a lot of money for it. And he's like, now what do I do? So over the course of about 5 years, he dissected the plan and came up with this one-page marketing plan. And he said, if I can't stick it on one page, I ain't going to do it. And my team's not going to do it. And it's a waste of money. So I need something that I can look at on a single page. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to show everybody kind of what the one-page marketing plan looks like here. So I'm guessing you can see my page now.
Right. Now you might, since a lot of people are going to listen to this just on a podcast, when you write stuff down, pretend like they're listening on their phone.
For sure. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. So the one-page marketing plan divides marketing into 9 squares. So it's a 3x3 grid that you put on a page. And there are 3 rows of 3. And each row is describing the phase at which the customer is at. Now, when you first encounter a potential customer, they're not your customer. We don't call them a customer. We call them a prospect, right? So we got to get our language right. Before somebody buys from you, they're a prospect. And before that, the old joke goes, they're suspects. But
Right.
so it's before they buy, they're a prospect. Now, what do people who are prospects have in common? They don't know who you are. So that's really the mindset for this step or this phase of marketing. We're talking about people who are potentially your customers and they don't know who you are. So the first row has 3 boxes in it. And the first thing we need to figure out is, who is my target market? And, a lot of times businesses will say, well, everybody out there. What do you mean?
Yeah.
Who's my
I
target
think it's
market?
the target. They have to have the need and the money. That's why to find somebody.
Exactly. And, depending on where you are geographically, you might say, like I have a design build client, Blue Water Design Build here in the Seattle area. They like to focus on Ballard, which is a neighborhood here in Seattle, and a couple other neighborhoods. So they very clearly defined their market as these neighborhoods. So that's kind of a geographic designation. But then also, like you say, they have to have the need and they have to have the money. So the first square you write down in this square, and this is not like,
Well, let's use, can we use your client as an example, just because it's
yeah, go
pretty
ahead.
typical.
Yeah.
So let's take the one you just mentioned in Seattle, right? Because you've done
Yeah.
this one.
Blue
So
Water
what
Design Build.
Blue Water Design? So what is their target market?
So their target market is they have a geographic location, specific neighborhoods that they'd like to
Okay.
target, which are rich in the types of homes that they would like to do design build projects on, primarily remodel. And specifically for them, they focus in this particular area in Seattle. There are a lot of homes that have basements that are not finished, or they're just like, poorly finished. And there's a huge opportunity to really increase the value of the home by doing the basement. So one of their, target market, things is people with existing homes, not new structures, but older homes that have a unfinished basement, for example.
So that would be people in whatever neighborhoods that have an unfinished basement that have the money to fix it.
Yep.
Okay.
And
Now, a question for you, Peter. Now, let's
yeah, go
say
ahead.
I'm doing remodeling, I'm doing new homes, and I may be doing, do I have to do a market target for each of my different parts of my business?
Actually, if you want to do this exercise right, you really should do a one-page marketing plan for each target market, because each one could be vastly different. If you're doing new homes, that might be a completely different person you're trying to
For example, my target
target.
might be architects who can refer me business.
Yes. So the first step is to define this. Now you'll notice if you look at this grid that I'm sharing with you, this is from my remarkable e-ink tablet here. There's not a lot of room to write out tons of details. So what you're going to be doing here is you're going to be putting in specific neighborhood, maybe income level, maybe specific types of work, right? You're just you're just trying to do this. So now this is to communicate it to you and your team, right? And so you're focusing on that particular market. So that's just step one, is who are we going after? And this would also include what is the product that we're selling, you know, whether it's,
Okay.
you know, we work with a lot of roofers too. So is
Okay.
it roof repair? Is it roof
Okay.
replacement? That sort of thing. So that's the my target market. So it's easy to fill this out. Obviously, there's work that goes behind this, but as a marketer myself, when I work with a customer, because we are a do-it-for-you kind of marketing firm, sort of like, you know, what you do, outsource recruitment. We're an outsourced marketing firm. This makes our job a lot easier when I'm meeting with a owner of a company. We talk about what we're doing or what we've done and what we're trying to do in the future. Now we have a common language here, right?
Okay.
We have a playbook. So the next most important thing is the second box in the first row. It's called my message to my target market. So
So would
this
that
is
be
where a
something
lot
like
of,
we're expensive, but we're worth it? Or we, you know, I mean, got to decide, you know, whether you're going to be the most expensive, least expensive, and you're going to do a good job, an okay job. You know, are you, I mean, Walmart or Neiman Marcus? I mean, they both do a good job, but they're different marketing, right?
exactly. And the thing that we like to say is, why does somebody want to buy from you? Why would they buy from you? There's a ton of competitors out there. What makes you different? And, you know, I mean, a lot of businesses say, well, we have a great reputation. Okay. So what does that mean? You know, you have a great reputation. You mean with customers, your vendors, in the community? How do we, so we have to work with the business to come up with language that captures the essence of what that means, the reputation,
So give
for
an example to
example.
be on time and on budget, or we deliver the best value, or we're, you know, easy to work with,
Yep.
or what kind of things would you use it?
Yeah, those it, you know, honestly, what we do when we work on this with a business, and in the book, there's a lot of tips on how to come up with these strategies. Here's the
Mhm.
thing that I've discovered about any existing business. We don't, you know, typically work with startups. This is, you know, established
Right.
businesses that have been around 10, 20, 30, 40 years, right? We sit down with the principals in the company and the thought leaders in the company, and maybe it's just one or two people. They know what it is. They just haven't sat down and really articulated what makes them different or better. And it's almost like we're sitting down over a beer and going through this part of the exercise to develop their messaging. We'll sit down with the company, and that conversation could take an hour, 2 hours, maybe 3 hours, where we talk about different messaging frameworks. But always, every time I've done this, the business themselves knows the message that resonates. And one of the questions we asked is, the last 5 sales you had, why did they buy from you? And that always gives us a big clue as to what to put in this my message to my target market, right? It's, you know, you talk to the salesperson, generally the principal of the organization is the salesperson as well, right?
Right.
So if they're competing against 2 other people, 2 other businesses, why did they buy? Why did they pick you? Right.
So
And
something
that's
like we deliver the best value, or we, you know, like something like we guarantee what we produce, or we'll be around after long. That's something like that, right?
exactly. For example, um, you know, one of the roofing companies we work with, there's a lot of roofing companies. I live in the Pacific Northwest. There's a ton of roofing companies here. And their pitch in their sales is that we are not hard sell. At the end of the day, we want to see you get the right roof. Whether or not you buy it from us, we honestly, yeah, we'd love to have you buy it from us. We just want to make sure that you get the right roof for your house. So it's a very
Right.
authentic approach.
Okay.
And that is their message to the market. We are authentic, and we want to make sure that your house gets the right roof, period. So, so again, that's where we work on the messaging with, with the business. For example, the business that I was talking about earlier, Blue Water Design Build, theirs is transforming your house into a home you'll love. And then they go on to talk about, remodeling can be frustrating. You've got floor plans, you've got an architect, you've got, permits, you've got construction, you've got all this stuff going on. Their pitch is they're a design build firm. So you don't have to work with an architect and a contractor. It's all wrapped up into one.
Well, right, cool.
Eliminates the headache.
Okay,
so that's their messaging.
The next one, the media I will use to reach my target market.
Yep. This is how are you going to get your word out? So, number one, you got to have a website. I mean, that's just, the nice thing about a website is, or the reason you need to have a website is everybody expects you to have one, but B, it's the only thing in the digital world that you can control 100%.
Right.
So if you're relying on your LinkedIn or your Facebook or Instagram and all that, all of the other companies control that, but you control the look and feel and exactly how your website. So it's a core asset that you have to have. So website is an amazing starting place, and you got to have it. And if you're going to be doing online advertising, which we help a lot of businesses with, or even offline advertising like postcards and print and signage and other things, you have to have a website, especially thanks to QR codes. Anything you do is ultimately folks are going to want to go to your website to see what you're all about. So you've got to have the website, and it's got to be good. It's got to flow. It's got to be fast. And I'm sure you've done other episodes on podcasts, so I won't dive too deeply into that. But
I think part of it is the media nowadays. It used to be, yellow pages and signs in the old-fashioned days. Right now, there's 20 different kinds of social media. Then there's, videos and YouTube, and every day there's other ways of getting your message out there. So it's incredibly confusing. That's
true. And one thing I would say for the work that we do in particular is we don't say, a lot of people come to you, my cousin said I got to be on TikTok, so I guess I've got to be on TikTok. I'm like, whoa, time out. If you're trying to sell a new roof to a 13-year-old, great. Yeah. Get on TikTok. And I realize there are people on, older folks on TikTok as well, but we try to focus on the media mix where you're going to hit more of your target audience. Right. So, and I'm sure you all have experience with that as well. In some cases, LinkedIn, not necessarily for the types of customers we're talking about today, but LinkedIn may be a good spot. A couple things that we focus on, though, is if you're going to do online advertising at all, it's part of the reason why you have to have a good website, because ultimately, even if you're advertising on Facebook and people fill out a lead form, for example, on Facebook, they're ultimately going to end up on your website. So we're trying to figure out the right mix of media. So I have a lot of clients in the services business. For example, a company called American Crawl and Pest Services. They do crawl space cleanouts, insulation, attic insulation. Rats come and get in your house, and they underneath the house, and they tear out all the insulation, redo it. They have a mix of advertising, which is web, the website, Google ads, and they do a heavy component of radio as well. And they also do print. And they have found that that's highly effective for their type of marketing. So it really comes down to what makes the most sense. Now, the last thing I want to do is go to a business and say, you got to do these 10 things and you're going to spend, $2,000 on this, $2,000 on that, $2,000 on that. Right away, I can see people's eyes glaze over and they're going to say,
Right.
Peter, how do I know it's working? And
Right.
why do you got me spending all this money all over the place? So one of the things we do is we use conversion tracking and call tracking for any of the campaigns that we're running. So we know exactly which ad dollars produced the phone calls and the leads for the business. And anytime you're working with a marketing company, you should make sure that they've got those tools in place. So this is the media mix. And this is this is number 3. So let's just put here, I'm just going to fill in the blanks here. I'm going to say Google ads. We like Google ads, even though, Google is kind of a monopoly. We still, for a lot of businesses, we do some Facebook work, and then other types of advertising. And one thing I would say is make sure you work with an organization that is not just trying to only have you work with the mix that they offer. For example, radio. I have nothing to do with radio, but I wholly recommend that for our clients if they have the appetite for that. So this is how you're going to reach the audience. Now, remember, they still don't know who you are. They're the customer, these people are still prospects, but hopefully if you do this step right, they're going to see your ad or your commercial. They're going to see your name. They're going to see the message. And then what are they going to do? They're going to raise their hand.
Cool. So, Peter Reinke, this is such good information. I'm going to break this into 3 separate podcasts. Let's get
okay, great.
First one. Okay. So
excellent.
We're going to continue on, the rest of this chart later. But
sure.
The question is, Peter, how did they get a hold of you? Way to get a hold of Biz Marketing?
Got it. So our website is bizmktg.com, bizmarketing.com. And we have an offer available. If somebody would like to get a free copy of this book, One-Page Marketing Plan, we are offering, we've got about 25 copies available. So if somebody would like to get a free copy of this, you've got a contracting business, you're a remodeler, or a home service contractor, if you just send an email to podcast@bizmktg.com, and you're one of the first 25 to do that, we'll send you a free copy of this book. And if you go to our website, we also have a book appointment link if you want to just chat with us. So that's how to get started.
I appreciate it. We're going to continue this on the next episode. So